Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how I create my flawless base using my absolute favorite products to give you that nice airbrush finish, as well as hiding your pores and correcting any mistakes such as harsh contour or intense blush. I'm going to show you how to fix all that, and let's go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to go ahead and start off with moisturizing my face. Whenever I'm traveling, I really like taking these. This is the Olay Regenerist. This is the Olay Whip. This is the red one. I really like the travel size ones or the sample size ones because they fit so nicely in that bag and you get a lot of product in there. So let's go ahead and start with moisturizing. I really like this product because it's really smoothing and it blends right into the skin. And it leaves your skin feeling so nice and hydrated afterwards. And it feels moisturizing, like a nice face lotion without the grease. Like, I can already go back to my forehead and you can't even tell I did anything. You can feel that it's hydrated, but you can't tell that I put anything on it. And you just need the smallest amount to go the longest way, and we're done. I also did this off camera because I didn't know what video I was going to film until after, but I did go ahead with the PTR Max Complexion Correction Pads, and I did just go ahead and wipe down my face with this to help clean it. So I'm just going to let that sink in for a second, and we're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with my primers. And my favorite primers, I use two. I use the combination of the Tarte Double Duty Beauty Base Tape and the Touch and Soul No Problem Primer. I love these two primers together. It gives that skin a nice dewy finish. You just need the smallest a bit. I'm going in with the Touch and Soul one right now, and I just rub it between my hands for a second to warm it up, and that really helps with distributing the product. And then I'm just going to go into my T-zone and really like rub that into there and up on my forehead, anywhere where I have pores that I just really want to help hide. Okay, and next I'm going to go ahead in with that Tarte primer, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on the perimeters of my face. And again, you just need the smallest amount. And another nice thing about these two primers is they work really well hand in hand. So you don't have to worry about that weird peeling whenever the ingredients don't match, because these two work really well together. Okay, now we're going to let that sink in for a second, and then we'll move on to foundation. And now that our primer has set in, we're going to go ahead and take our sponge. I'm going to be using the Juno & Co. sponge today. This is the Lavender Velvet sponge. I'm going to go ahead and get it wet, and then I will be right back. Okay, so I'm back and my sponge is now wet. It's very important that you go in with a wet sponge and not a dry one. So for my foundation today, I do have combination oily skin, but I'm more so on the oily. So I really love the Fenty Beauty. This is the Pro Filter Soft Matte. This is my favorite foundation since it came out. It's the one that keeps my oils down the most. So let's go ahead and get in with this. With this foundation, it is pumped, so I'm just going to go ahead and take 2 pumps on the back of my hand. And then I like to dab some of it onto my face and blend it out through that way. And then I will take my sponge. I like with these to either take the flat angled side or at the bottom. And today I just want to go ahead and take that flat side. And I'm just going to go ahead and blend it in. Whenever I do this, I feel like it makes the blending a lot easier and a lot faster because the product is distributed instead of just on a sponge being blended in. And I know this color is a bit too dark for me. We're going to blend it down. I just haven't been able to go to the store yet to pick a new one, but it is my favorite, so this is what we are going to use. And another thing is this foundation does oxidize, so you're going to want to use a shade that's a bit lighter for you. See, whenever I do it like this, where it's just on the sponge, I feel like it takes longer to blend and it's not as even, and I feel like I miss spots whenever I do it like this. Because right here, I don't know if you can see, because like right here you can kind of see there's not as much. I'm just going to go ahead and go in doing it the way that I would normally do it, and just going ahead and tapping that in and blending it. And I like to do my brows last, so that way I can kind of do whatever and be as messy as I would like with them. So as you can see, whenever I did it like that, it became a lot more even and blended, which is exactly what we're looking for. So that is 1/2, and then there's the side with nothing on it. I personally like to be a little bit more on the full coverage side, just because, especially right now with having to wear a mask, I do have a lot of breakouts. I also prefer to buy more so on the full coverage foundations because you can always thin them out by putting your moisturizer in there, and that'll help lessen the coverage of it, so that way you can have any type of coverage you really want. And then I'm also going to put some on my chin right here where you can kind of see the breakouts. And I'm just going to leave that to sit for a minute. This foundation does dry down on its own, so you do want to be halfway decently fast with it, but you still have a little bit of time to play with it as well. And you can use any sponge you want, especially there are a lot of good cheap ones out there. This one I believe is $6 from Juno & Co, but you can get it at Target. And if your Target doesn't have it in store, you can order it online through Target. And if you order in their store with an associate, you get free shipping. I'm gonna go ahead and take some of this and blend it down my neck, just so that way we match. And whenever I'm initially applying foundation to my neck, I like to swipe it and then I'll go back and dab it just to get the most product distributed. Okay, so that is the foundation on and applied, and we are looking really smooth and really even. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with the Fenty Beauty concealer. Also, this foundation is in the shade 200. And this concealer will be in the shade 185. I do go down just a little bit just to have that brightened effect. And I'm just going to do 1 dot, 2 dot, and then I do 1 in the middle. I don't like to apply it to my nose because my nose always breaks it down, but I will apply it to my forehead a little bit. And I also don't like to apply it to my chin because that will also break down. So I'll show you how I go ahead and get around that to be able to highlight that. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with my forehead. And I'm just going to blend that in, keeping it as short and small as possible. And it usually stays about this big. And then slowly and carefully with the extra, I will go ahead and I'll take it down the bridge of my nose. As you can see, I just did a little bit. But with that being such a small amount, it's not going to break down. And as you can see, it did help just brighten it just a little bit. And then I'm going to take my under eyes. I always start with the inner corner. And I'm just going to work my way outwards first. And then this is usually about how far I'll take it. And then I'm going to start working it down, just so we get a nice even blend and I'm nice and highlighted. And then I'm going to go ahead and take this sponge. I'm using the same side that I did on my foundation. I'm going to flip it to the clean side and just go ahead and pick up that extra product that's on there. So that is what it is looking like. We look nice and awake now. Also, with the concealer, you do need to work a little bit fast on it, just so that way it does not go ahead and stay, because it does dry down on its own. Okay, so to set my concealer and my face, because even though it does dry down on its own, I do like to still set it because I am again very oily. I'm going to use the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, and I'm going to take that on a small blender. This is the Hank & Henry, and it will fit like perfectly right in there. So I'm going to go ahead and set everything with my powder. And the reason I like to do it with a dry sponge instead of a wet one is because whenever I do it with a wet one, I feel as though my powder clumps together whenever I put it on. Even if it's like you spritzed it one time and it's barely wet, for some reason mine always clumps, so I just prefer to use a dry one. And before I go ahead and set, I do like to go ahead and blend out all those creases that I made just before, so that way I can set and have a flawless base. And then again, because I have such an oily nose, I'm going to go ahead and do the side of my nose and into that triangle, so it kind of look like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, my chin and my forehead, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is what I look like applying everything after sponge. I'm going to let this sit in for a minute or so. I'm going to take this right now and I'm going to tap out the harsh edges, so that way whenever it does get removed, just in case, there is no harsh lines of where that powder was actually baking at. And I just like to bake everywhere that I tend to get creases, so that it would be like here in my smile, here on my forehead, and then under my eyes, and then my nose just gets really oily, so I do like to bake that. So that is what it looks like after I diffuse the harshness of it, and I still have all the powder baking. So then after this sets for a minute, I'm going to go ahead and take this, brush it all the way, and use that extra powder to set the rest of my face. Okay, now that that has sat for a minute, I'm just going to go ahead and lightly take this, and instead of taking the brush up after I wipe under my eyes, I'm just going to take it down my face. That way that powder is not being kicked off as if I were to do this. It is going to stay under the brush and give me that extra product enough to just set my face. Okay, now that our face is all set, I like to go in with all my powders before I set any setting spray, and then I will set it. So this is the Bliss. This is the Miss Sculpt-A-Lot Contour Palette to Go. I'm not going to show the inside because it is broken and it will fall everywhere. But it is my absolute favorite. This is the first one that I've ever fully gone through, or almost fully gone through. And to do this, I'm going to take Luxie Small Contour Brush. This is my favorite brush because it is so small. You're able to get it exactly where you want it, and that's it. But I'm just going to pick some up on my brush and then tap off that extra. It's really important that you do that so you don't get too much on your face and you don't come out looking muddy. Then I'm just going to go ahead, and you can see where my line is to go ahead and do it. If you cannot find yours though, you can go ahead and do the fish lips, and it'll just show you more where it's at. So I just like to start further back. I like to start back here and work in circles and then slowly bring it forward. Again, I'm still taking it in circles just like this and going up now. You always want to circle your brush upwards towards your cheek. You never want to go downwards because it's going to drag it down and make it look further down than it actually is. And then I'm just going to take it up here a little bit just to be able to connect it whenever I do my forehead. And then also bring it down just by your ear, just the smallest line. And then you'll be able to connect it to your jaw. And then if you can see, this line is a little bit harsh, but do not go downwards with it. I'm going to show you how I correct that. And that is what that side is looking like. So let's go ahead and do the other side, and then we'll go ahead and through and fix everything. So I'm just going to repeat the same thing on this side. Start further back, work in small circles, and then slowly bring it forward. And then again, bring it up a little bit, just enough so whenever I do my forehead, we have that and it's able to connect. And then down just the smallest a bit, and then on that jawline. So that is what it's looking like so far. So now we're just going to go ahead and do the forehead. And whenever I do my forehead, I like to start on my temples and work it inwards and downwards to connect the line. So let's go ahead and do it. And again, still working in small circle motions. And then carefully bring it in to connect all of your lines. And then I do have a bit of a bigger forehead, so I just like to kind of deepen this spot up just a little bit extra. So that is what this side of my face is looking like. As you can see, my forehead I did a lot lighter because I don't like to go through and correct my forehead as much as I do with my cheek. So then let's go ahead and do the other side. I find whenever you do your blending and circular motions for your contour or bronzer, it does just help diffuse the product on its own a lot easier rather than just going in a straight line. Okay, so this is what my face is looking like right now. So let's just go ahead and I'll show you how to clean up the harsh lines. I just like to take the powder brush that we just used to set our face and lightly take it. I like to pinch mine just on that bottom part of the line and just kind of diffuse it with that extra powder, and this just helps seal everything in and blend it without making it look muddy. Okay, so this is what we're looking like. Let's go ahead and add some more color in here, and we're gonna go ahead and use blush. My current favorite blush right now is from Ciate London. This is the Marble Light Halo blush. It does have a mirror on the inside, but this is what the actual product looks like. And the more that you use, the more of a sheen that you tend to get from it, which I don't really like, but I use only a small amount, so mine stays pretty matte. To apply this, I'm going to use this brush. I think I got this in an Ipsy. That's the name of the brush. I'm not sure how to say that, so I'm not going to try. I'm just going to go ahead and take this and swirl my brush around. And again, doing the tap off. As you can see how much product we just took off. And then I'm just going to go ahead. I like to do this looking straight on, but I'm going to do it in my mirror. And I like to do this without smiling and just hitting the high points of my cheeks. I feel like whenever I do this, it does look like I have color to my face without having to smile to get the blush effect. I don't remember where I learned this trick from, but as you can see, looking straight on, I now have that color on my face. So once I have it built up to a coverage I like, I just go ahead and lightly do a small smile. I will lightly go over the apples of my cheeks, and that is what that is looking like. And then as you can see, it's really intense. I like to build mine really intensely, and then I go ahead and tone it down after with my powder brush that I used to set my face. So I'm going to do the other side real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back, and as you can see, it is a very intense bright pink. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that powder brush that I used to set my face with, still using all the powder that's left on it, and I'm just going to go ahead and blend this into my skin better. So as you can see, just that little bit, it's already toned down a lot where it's not like this anymore. Okay, so now that our blush is done, we're gonna go ahead and move on to our highlighter. For this one, I'm going to use the Becca Champagne Pop. This is the mini one. This is the Champagne Pop highlighter. I'm gonna take this on an AOA Studio F19 brush just to really hit the high points of my cheeks and keep it exactly where I want it to go. So mine's all shattered. I'm just going to take it and dab some on. This is a very intense highlighter. I'm not going to tap it off like we did with the blush or anything. I'm just going to start applying it straight to my face with a really light hand. And again, keeping that circular motion going upwards with it. As you can see, now my cheek looks like I have that wet, dewy look to it. And I'm just going to bring it right above the arch of my brow just to kind of complete it. And I'm going to do the same on the other side really quick. Okay, once that's done, I'm going to take what's left on this brush and go down the bridge of my nose so that way it's not super intense. And then I'm also going to go over the tip of my eyebrow one last time. I'm just going to go ahead and take it like this and just lightly do it on the bridge of my nose so you get that nice little natural glow without looking too sweaty. And then I like the tip of my nose to be really intense because I like to take my finger after and just kind of rub it in so it gets toned down just a bit. And then it looks more so on that natural side. And then I'm just gonna take this and I actually run it through the tail of my brow. This is what I do whenever I'm feeling lazy, so most days this is how I do it. Because I don't do my eyebrows first, I'm able to go through and color them in. That way I get the highlight as close to my brow bow as I possibly can. So this is just how I like to do that. And that's all for highlighter. So I'm going to go ahead and take my Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray and set my face. And then I'm just going to go ahead and let that dry down. And then that is it. That's how I create my flawless base. I hope that you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!